We hear the term influencer bandied about way too often in marketing, I'd suggest. But what happens when a brand flips the concept on its head in order, wait for it, to influence the influencers? Well, that's what the bespoke cognac brand Martell did in collaboration with its agency Publicis Machine when it launched its VS single distillery range with the tagline, "Be Curious." Here to tell us more is Martell Cognac brand manager Tenjiwe Mabope and group executive creative director at the agency Gareth McPherson. To both of you, a very warm welcome. Let me start with you if I can.
Sure.
Give me the best definition of what an influencer is.
To me, an influencer is someone that can bring about change of behavior and that can inform other people's decisions. That is influence. And it's not necessarily got anything to do with how famous someone is. Everyone in their own right, in their own circle, I believe, is an influencer.
Who are these people generally that you would reach out to in terms of utilizing them for your brand?
Okay, so in this instance, we were launching our newest expression, which is Martell VS Single Distillery. And this campaign for us was an ode to curiosity, to people who pushed the boundaries, to people who did things their own way, because we are one of the only cognac houses that has sourced the liquid from one single distillation source. So this campaign for us was an ode to people who did things their own way.
So, Gareth, what value or benefit would an influencer add to this brand's journey? And perhaps more interestingly, where did you find them?
Massive influence in it. I think the value they add, look, they've got a whole host of followers, and it's very dependent who the person is. Much like Tenjiwe touched on, they have the ability to influence the behavior of their followers too. So for us, we looked at basically the brand values and what it stood for. We had this golden thread around this Be Curious platform. So we went out and looked for people who blazed trails and were curious people themselves, people who pushed the sort of creative envelope. And those are the people we went out and specifically targeted.
Aren't this group of influencers fairly difficult to manage, though? I mean, that's the risk, I would imagine, in embarking on a promotional strategy like this.
Very much so. But I think with any sort of piece of communication that goes out, there is a risk attached to, regardless of channel or person or discovery. I think it's the way we engaged with them. For me, that was the real point of difference here. I think a lot of brands put their message onto these people and they expect them almost to behave in a proxy sort of manner and push their sort of brand purpose. Whereas we developed a concept and a campaign which actually celebrated them. So it was very, very bespoke and targeted to these specific individuals.
In fact, you used the term personalized as far as the reach out was concerned.
Yes.
So what did you do? How did you reach out to them in order, as Gareth was saying, to pique curiosity? Because the moment a person's curious, I would imagine that's almost half the job done. Yeah?
Yes, it definitely is. So what we did is we were looking for people that are on the grassroots level of their industries or even at the peak of their industries, but who did things in a curious manner. So
what does that mean, do things in a curious manner?
So it means pushing the envelope. It means not looking at things at face value.
Being unconventional.
Unconventional, yeah. Definitely. So we looked for a designer that we felt had these same values, and we had him hand design each and every single portrait of the picked influencers, and we kind of wrote a story to them to say, this is actually us celebrating you because you are curious and so are we.
And the response to that was what?
So the response to that was extremely positive because it's not often that a brand wants to collaborate with people. We wanted to actually create partnerships instead of just trying to force our brand message onto other people. And we found a commonality between ourselves and the influencers that we've chosen to kind of land the message of our new expression on curiosity.
What was the take-up as far as they were concerned? Were they willing and able participants, or were they simply seeing a free bottle of cognac being delivered to their front door?
No, very much a strong take-up. I think what we also did, we utilised our ambassador, who actually went and delivered the product. So that was one of the other other sort of components of the campaign. So I think that engagement up front, you know, delivering this gift to the person, it's personalized to the influencer, the whole value chain of what we did really created the impact of the campaign, and for them to liken the brand even more and want to share that with their followers.
So let's finally talk about measurability. So the claim is a 25% increase in followers on your Instagram page. Well done. The reality, though, okay, is have you sold more product? How do you actually measure the efficacy of a campaign like this?
So I think we have to be very clear in what each channel can bring you. Influencers, as you know, are now used as a new channel, same as TV or radio, and coupled with other efforts on other different channels, we definitely did see an uptake. We smashed whatever records that we had set for ourselves.
But records are one thing, but the reality is something like this has got to sustain, and you've got to make sure that it is leading, Gareth, to perpetual sales. Does this type of strategic approach actually work in that respect, do you think?
I think it does. Look, it plays a part of a mix, like Tenji said, around channels. You know, I think we've got a single common thread here, this Be Curious platform, and we're activating it on multiple different ways. This plays a big component in getting the brand equity and the brand message out there. So that plays distinct.
And that's the key, really, because it's not a single pillar of a campaign. You've 100%. Got to make sure that it's leveraged in a whole lot of other ways. So how would you do that very quickly?
Well, then in trade, we'd look at really, you know, hard driving intrinsics, understanding the product that would then lead. If you were following that influencer, I've seen this message, it's piqued my interest. You go into store, you go into a sort of a club or a bar, and you actually see the product and you want to try that because it's been associated with someone that's in your world.
So what it really is, it's just planting the seed top of mind and hoping that it'll grow.
Definitely. It's a little bit of that and a little bit of making sure that whatever message you are trying to land is authentic and it doesn't seem forced and it's natural. That's how people get it and they engage.
Well, let's see if it pays dividends. It's an interesting campaign. Folks, thank you very much for joining us today. Finally this week, did you know that children today have less than 30 minutes of unstructured time each and every day? Tapping into this insight, the snack brand Go-Go Squeeze has launched an interesting experiment in the United States market. It's called Be Time. It's a campaign aimed at giving children more free time to just be. We're going to play you out with the case study, and you can let us know what you think of this particular incarnation and our other stories on our dedicated Facebook page. Until next time, goodbye to you, and thank you for watching.
Welcome. Come on in. I'm James, and I'm here to find out about you and your busy schedule. Why don't you walk me through what a week for you looks like? Whew.
Generally, there's at least 2 soccer practices.
They do football, it's from like 6 to 8.
Science club at the library.
Oscar takes coding. Math prep class.
Baseball.
Chess. Volleyball.
Lacrosse.
Boxing.
Taekwondo.
Choir rehearsal.
Soccer.
Girl Scouts.
After that's done, they'll come home and do their homework.
What kind of lessons do you think she learns from all these activities? What are you hoping she'll learn?
I'm hoping that she'll learn to stay busy.
Would it surprise you to know that kids today have less than 30 minutes of unstructured time a day?
That would not surprise me at all.
Do you feel like you had more of this kind of free time when you were a kid?
No, it was definitely having way more free time.
Yeah.
How much unstructured time a day do you think your kids have?
I'd say a lot is
Do you think? I don't think it's a lot.
You found the robot? Perfect!
We call it Be Time. It's time for kids to do whatever they feel like doing. No plans, no structure. Being outside is good, being active is good, but Be Time isn't just one thing. It can be whatever they choose. Nobody's teaching kids anything, but they're still learning some important things. They end up with all sorts of extra skills: problem solving, conflict resolution, creativity, even dealing with stress. Research has shown if kids don't get B time, they don't have a chance to learn coping skills and discover just who they are and what they love to do. Kids without B time suffer more anxiety, stress, and depression. The good news is it's an easy fix. You just need to start making more time for B time. We actually have a video to show you of your kids. We kind of introduced today as a chance for them to have these structured activities, but actually we went the opposite way. We gave them some unstructured play time. We want to show you what they did with that.
Look at him.
Look at him.
A social butterfly.
She's not gonna want to go home.
No.
I can't wait to hear about it on the way home.
Yeah.
South Africa's first choice for news. This is ENCA.